What's going on, everybody? It's Matt from Night and Day Performance, back with another video, back with another build. This beautiful 2015 Dodge Challenger Hellcat, known as Baby Demon by its owner, has come in because it had an issue with the transmission slipping. Transmission slipping ended up turning into needing a new transmission in this Hellcat that makes right around 800 horsepower to the wheels right now. Basically, the tuner who had it before did not do torque management tuning, and it looks like that's most likely the reason why this transmission is no longer working like it should be. Alright, so while I've chosen the perfect time to pause the video where it looks like I'm digging in my nose, I'm going to tell you at home a little bit about torque management and kind of what it does. I'm not going to use the technical terms and get in depth because I want to give you guys that don't really understand those terminologies the ability to understand what I'm talking about. Torque management is, to say the least, imagine when you're driving a manual car and you press the clutch in. What is the normal thing that you do? You let off the gas, press the clutch in, and shift gears. Well, imagine not tuning torque management being, instead of doing that, you're fully flooring the vehicle, full-fledged, all power, and instead of pushing the clutch in, you're slamming the gears in between each gear, shifting crazily. That's kind of what torque management does. Basically, it takes your 800 horsepower car, whatever, and it takes the torque that's being inputted from the engine and it dials it back for a super quick moment in time so that the gear can shift smoothly, engage, and go right back to where it is. It happens so fast that most humans can't even tell that it happened, but it's something that's required when you're tuning in these transmissions. So basically, this transmission had no clutch, to say the least, if it was a manual car, and someone was just slamming it into gear. That's what caused this problem. Let's get back into the video. What we're doing is we're pulling the trans, but then he also wanted to do a full build on it. So we're doing FRP 6.2 liter drop-in pistons and rods, the brand new forged pistons and rods. We're doing an FRP cam kit, the Titan 2 cam, which is going to make great power. It's going to sound good, and it's going to assist us in making the power level that we're going for. We're getting the supercharger pulled off. We're getting it fully ported and polished, fully rebuilt. So basically, he's getting a full engine rebuild, a full transmission rebuild, and everything will be capable of a lot of power. Our goal for this build here is 1,000 to the wheels. We're going to be running it on E85 with the TAP Performance fuel kit as well as the FIC 1656 cc injectors. I'm sorry, FIC 1650 cc injectors, along with all the other supporting modifications that we're going to need to do to get this vehicle running the way it should be. Stay tuned for the video. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the vehicle up in the air. I'm going to go ahead and get the engine ready to be pulled out. I'm going to drop the entire front cradle. That's how I do my builds. Some people do it differently. So I'll get all the fluids drained out. I'll get the cradle dropped down, get the transmission disconnected, sent off to Sipple. I'll get the engine pulled out, get the engine disassembled. Once we get it disassembled, we're sending the block to the machine shop. Get everything double checked, get it get it honed, get it cleaned, and get it ready for us to install all of our new parts in. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for me. I appreciate the support. Like the videos. Check out the rest of the videos on our channel. We have a wide variety of them. We have this build going. We have the Chrysler 300 back there that's going for the City Boys, Internet City. We have this over here, Black Betty, that's going on right now. We're finishing up the D150 that's over there in the corner. And then we have the Ram TRX behind me as well. So we got a busy schedule for a while. We're going to get this stuff rolling. what I'm doing is I'm draining the oil out of the engine, getting it ready to get pulled out, just because it's easier and less likely to have a mess going everywhere. Make sure the first thing you do on these vehicles, which I've already done on this one, is you disconnect the battery before you start unplugging harnesses, sensors, everything of that sort, because you can have bad problems if you don't. After you get that done, as you can see here, if you're not familiar and you've never ripped an engine out of a car, what you're going to do is focus on the engine itself. Anything that's attached to the engine in the form of a wiring harness has to come off. Those items normally are going to stay back with the vehicle when you pull the engine out. That way, whenever you get the new engine put back in, you can just plug everything right back up. Remember where everything is going, and if you have to, label and mark your sensors and your plugs. Let's continue in the video, and let's go ahead and finish getting this taken off. As you can see here, we are doing something that will help you guys out if you're doing this at home. Grab you a shop vac whenever you're draining these systems. Suck all the coolant out of the system, out of the motor, out of the radiator, out of the reservoir. It helps you from making a really big mess whenever you're working on these vehicles. We've done it for years. Yes, there are big evacuation tanks you can use, but this is just something that we have done. Just a little friendly little tip for something you guys can do whenever you're working on your car. Alright, now as you see, we're pulling off the fuel rails. We're getting the supercharger ready to get sent to Kong. They don't want the supercharger lid, the fuel rails, the sensors, any of that. If you're getting the lid powder coated, then you can send that. Otherwise, take all that off, take the gaskets off, take the throttle bodies, the bypass valve. All that stuff does not need to go with the supercharger. You can leave the pulley on the snout, however. So we're going to get this torn all the way down, packaged up, and sent off. And then this one's going to come back as a beautiful supercharger. Let's get back into the video. Let's continue watching. Please continue to share if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. For those that want to know why there's a crazy man with a Sawzall on this exhaust, it's because most of this front section is welded on this car. He had a cat delete, and our shop wants to make sure that everything is done correctly as far as our EPA laws and local ordinances. So we're going to go ahead and get a set of high flow cats installed anyways. So the easiest way to get this exhaust down is to just cut it right where I'm going to weld anyways. So I'm going to cut that, get that pulled down. Aaron from City Boys is in the back, and there's my wife. They're coming to check on me, see how things are going. And now we're going to go ahead and start getting everything around the transmission loose and get everything ready for the transmission to come down. At this point, normally I would drop the entire cradle and the transmission, but once I realized and remembered, of course, that I'm sending the transmission off separately from the motor and all, I went ahead and just pulled it this way because I just felt like doing that. Whichever way you do it, it is up to you. But for me, I wanted to pull this transmission off separately because I was in a time crunch and wanted to go ahead and get the transmission sent off first to Sipple. But if you want to see how we got to this point, stay tuned to the video, and very shortly I'm going to show you what caused the issue, and I'm going to drain the fluids out of the transmission so we can see what's inside of it. Before I take this transmission all the way down, I want to show you guys how we got here. So let's see what we found in the transmission when we drained the fluid. Yep, that loud chunk you just heard was a piece of metal that fell out of the transmission when I took the drain plug out. And you're going to hear the chunks and see all the metallic in this transmission fluid. All of those different colors mixing together, that's the metal.
You're looking for a metallic paint job. That does not look good.